A place where you can be who you want to be, go where you want to go. That and more is what the Metaverse is promising.
Brave new world.
Paris Hilton welcomed 2022 by throwing a New Year's party in the Metaverse. On top of the celebrity hype, many touting the ability to connect, buy virtual goods, and explore virtual worlds. But under it, a darker side.
Privacy is one of the biggest issues we're tracking.
There are no regulators. There are no rules.
And concerns as foreign powers like China buy up large swaths of virtual land. In this special report, we look at what that means going forward, from people looking for a place to escape reality to future wars that could break out. Welcome to China in Focus. I'm Tiffany Meyer. A place to escape, a break from reality. The next wave of the internet is upon us. It's the Metaverse. But it's not quite here yet. This is just the opening stages.
By 2030, a lot of experts are saying, experts I've spoken with, they predict that the Metaverse will be more of a reality.
So what is the Metaverse?
But Metaverse essentially is nothing short of this fake world, this virtual world where people could exist, could buy goods and services there, and could actually also receive them and use them in the real world.
Some call it the third generation of the internet.
The first wave being the original internet of the 1990s, the second wave being the internet of mobile devices and cell phones. This third wave brings virtual environments and persistent online experiences.
And in the age of lockdowns, many are looking for escape. The virtual world has already taken the consumer world by storm. Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg popularized the term last year. He renamed the company to Meta to emphasize the Metaverse's central role to the company's future. Brands such as Tommy Hilfiger and Nike have jumped on the Metaverse bandwagon, and even some celebrities. But despite the hype, is there another side that's not getting attention?
Everything is at stake here. From purely the legal and regulatory point of view, it creates this brave new world. It creates this new world that is potentially unregulated and harvests and breeds the bad operators and the negativity to take advantage of those who are weak and who should be protected.
Concerns include everything from privacy to addiction to national trade secrets. And those all arise from the nature of the Metaverse.
It's an immersive environment. It's persistent. You don't really turn the internet off.
To enter, one creates an avatar. It can be anyone or anything.
Many people for a long time have had problems with games. You get pulled into it and you do it for hours, days. Now imagine this on steroids, an environment that is so enticing and enjoyable that you just don't want to leave.
And what about for kids whose minds are still forming, who are more easily influenced?
My kids, I have 3 kids, and they all are obsessed with Roblox, right? And Roblox is sort of the children's metaverse, if you're right. Now it's a multi-billion-dollar company that's gone public. And frankly, as a parent, I worry all the time that what exactly they do, how do I control it, and how do I know that someone that's supposed to be anonymous is not potentially a predator on my children?
So why push for people to become so addicted that they forget even their own lives?
There is a profit motive to keep people there and keep them interacting and keep them buying things and sending money. So that's the compelling thing.
But on top of the profit, there's another question.
Why is Mark Zuckerberg the person that's behind this? Why is he pushing this? Is this his next project? I mean, it's extremely important to see what is the ultimate agenda here.
What happens if you get too comfortable in this environment?
Now, in the Metaverse, you're also going to have to be very careful about who knows your true identity.
Privacy was already a major issue with Facebook and Instagram, which Facebook bought in 2012. Last year, Facebook paid $650 million to settle a privacy lawsuit. That was over claims that Facebook violated privacy laws by storing facial recognition data without users' consent. Following the lawsuit, Facebook changed its photo tagging system. And in 2019, the Federal Trade Commission fined Facebook $5 billion over the Cambridge Analytica scandal. That lawsuit alleged the company obtained sensitive data from more than 87 million people. Despite Facebook's name change to Meta, some critics are raising concerns that those privacy issues could follow the company into the metaverse.
We shouldn't really expect the coming metaverse to be any more secure. In fact, there's a lot of indications that it could actually be less secure.
Even if you're not doing business in this virtual world, but just trying to have a good time, you could still be at risk.
If more and more of your data in your life is online, that makes you a bigger target for fraudsters and criminals. They can learn more about you so they can deceive you or deceive others into thinking they're you.
Now, where is that information going?
Nation states like China are already investing in the metaverse in ways that I believe will help them conduct extreme surveillance of everyone, anybody in the metaverse, not just their own citizens. And this has a detrimental effect on freedom of speech wherever you are.
China just last year, actually just a couple of months ago, released a white paper documenting the many ways in which the metaverse can be manipulated, strategies to kind of win the geopolitical game in the metaverse. China's already ahead of the game when compared with the US government, at least. They've established a metaverse committee.
Now, how is China doing that? How is the regime ahead of the US? To watch today's full special report, click the link in the description down below. We are working with Epoch TV, and all full-length special reports are published there. And now we turn to today's news. Human rights groups are advising foreign athletes not to speak up about human rights issues while in China. They say it's out of concern for their personal safety.
Beijing is set to host the Winter Olympics in 3 weeks, and athletes traveling there have received a warning from rights advocacy groups. Do not talk about human rights issues while in China. One of the groups that gave the warning explains their reason.
Which is absolutely ridiculous that we're telling athletes to be quiet and to leave and to get home. And the reason being is Rule 50.
Rule 50 of the Olympic Charter punishes athletes for demonstrating at Olympic venues. The International Olympic Committee, or IOC, loosened up the rule last year. It says athletes are allowed to express their viewpoints in certain situations, like press conferences or team meetings.
We know the human rights record and the allowance of freedom of expression in China. So there's really not much protection that we believe that's going to be afforded to athletes. And the IOC has not come out proactively to indicate that we will protect and make sure everyone is safe that decides to speak up.
He says athletes can use their voices when they get home.
And that's a sad statement that we have to say that.
A Human Rights Watch researcher points to a recent example.
However, look at the Peng Shuai case. She made one post on the Chinese social media alleging sexual assault against a retired high-level Chinese official. Look at what happened. She has been, her voice has been entirely wiped off the Chinese internet.
Peng Shuai is one of China's biggest sports stars. She was a world #1 in tennis doubles. Last year, Peng made a sexual assault allegation against a former top official on social media. Her post was taken down within 20 minutes, and any related discussion was banned on the Chinese internet. Peng herself also disappeared from public view for a period of time. At the time, both the White House and the European Union questioned Beijing on her whereabouts.
We are deeply concerned by reports that Peng Shuai appears to be missing after accusing a former PRC senior official of sexual assault.
Aside from Peng's example, the human rights researcher Wang Yaqiu says Chinese laws can be very vague when prosecuting people's free speech.
You can be charged with picking quarrels and provoking trouble for speaking up. You can be charged for inciting subversion. So there are all kinds of crimes can be leveled for your peaceful, critical comments.
Wang also mentioned China has a conviction rate of over 99%, and these are indicators of what could happen to foreign athletes if they speak up.
Athletes are being warned not to eat Chinese meat products during the Beijing Winter Olympics. Just weeks before the Games, the World Anti-Doping Agency, or WADA, cautioned that meat in China may be contaminated by the banned steroid clenbuterol. WADA said meat in China has been known to contain low levels of the substance, which would give a positive result in tests for performance-enhancing drugs. The U.S. doesn't allow drug use in animal products, but the practice is common in China. WADA warned athletes heading to Beijing to use extreme caution. In 2011, the organization said in a statement that contaminated food could create low levels of clenbuterol in athletes' test samples. This year's statement came after the German National Anti-Doping Agency warned its athletes to avoid Chinese meat at all costs. WADA says meals within the athletes' village are properly sourced and okay to eat. The Chinese Foreign Ministry has not yet commented, but the communist regime's media outlet Global Times says the accusation is a smear from anti-China forces, claiming that, quote, Chinese meat is safer than America's. However, some internal documents from China suggest the concerns are highly plausible. A notice from the Agricultural Bureau of Xi'an City last month urged officials to control any excessive use of clenbuterol in feeding livestock and poultry. And this instruction exclusively referred to companies offering meat products to the Games. China listed clenbuterol as a banned drug some 20 years ago, but it appears the legislation may not have had the intended effect. Beijing says it will not sell tickets for the Winter Olympics to the general public. Instead, authorities will give tickets to selected groups of mainland Chinese residents. The Winter Games organizer says the move aims to protect the health and safety of Olympic personnel and spectators. The measure comes after the latest variant of the CCP virus, which causes COVID-19, emerged in China. The variant Omicron is more contagious and highly transmissible. So far, it has spread to over 14 Chinese provinces, and that includes big cities like Beijing, Shanghai, Tianjin, and Shenzhen. To prevent virus flare-ups during the Winter Games, Beijing has laid out a plan. Starting next week, all those that enter China's Olympic venues are not allowed to leave. That's until they leave the country. Once inside, they'll be blocked from contact with the general public. All activities must take place inside what's become known as the Olympic isolation bubble, and all foreign athletes plus their support staff will only be allowed to move between locations inside the bubble via certain vehicles. The measures will impact over 5,000 people, including foreign athletes and Chinese staffers. When the U.S. announced a diplomatic boycott of the Beijing Olympics last month, it pointed to human rights abuses in China as the reason, including Beijing's suppression of Uyghurs in the Xinjiang region. And Beijing, as usual, denied any accusation of this kind. But this is not the only way the communist regime tries to whitewash itself. It seems to be buying influence on social media, too. Recently, a large number of zombie accounts appeared on Twitter, and all used the same script to deny accusations of human rights abuses in Xinjiang, a region in China's northwest. Most of these accounts use English names, and their ID seems to be part of their Twitter handle. And many of the accounts are new. They have no followers, and they follow no one, typical features of zombie accounts. The tweet template begins, "I grew up in Xinjiang," and accuses the U.S. and other countries of creating lies about human rights abuses to hurt China. The tweet then links to a report of a Chinese Communist Party media's article. This article is an interview with a person from Xinjiang who says they've been living in the United Arab Emirates for 15 years. The linked website oceannet.com says on its official page that it is a Paris-based Chinese language outlet. However, internet user tests show its server is in California, and the website domain's Internet Cache Protocol was filed in Beijing. The Chinese Communist regime invests a lot in influencing opinions. Late last month, the New York Times published an investigative report titled "Buying Influence: How China Manipulates Facebook and Twitter." It detailed how Beijing floods social media platforms worldwide with fake accounts made by private contractors as its campaign of social media manipulation. And that's all for today's China in Focus. But before you go, we have a short announcement. We have our premiere at 9:30 p.m. from Monday to Saturday on TV and our YouTube channel. NTD is available on many platforms, including cable TV, satellite, and over-the-air TV across the U.S., and it continues to grow. Please check out ntd.com/TV. Type in your zip code to find all the ways you can watch our show. That's ntd.com/TV. Thanks for watching and see you tomorrow.